Live. Okay, it's me with Andy Brooking and Skyler Dawson. I'm Jaykob Olson, by the way, and we are going to be reacting to the, if not most holy of fictional characters, Shrek,
Okay,
the large
so
green ogre.
what happened was me and Jaykob were in New York and we were seeing The Lion King, and I was doing some Broadway trivia as the theater kid I am, and we passed the Broadway theater. That's what it's actually called, the Broadway theater. And I said, "Oh, Shrek the musical play there," and he said, "Basically the musical version of the Bible." And so he started just like making a bunch of Bible jokes and stuff at my expense, and I've told him several times that Shrek is not a biblical character, although he had a conversation with a donkey, but that's a different story. Today, we will be reacting to how Shrek became a meme god.
Shrek stands as one of the most successful movie franchises of the 21st century, with the titular ogre being the subject of numerous films, TV spin-offs, and hundreds of pieces of merchandise. But if you've been lurking around the internet for the past decade, you've probably noticed his presence in a very different context. A quick sweep across websites such as YouTube, Reddit, and Pinterest will show a bizarre array of content dedicated to the franchise, ranging from memes
Check yourself before you Shrek yourself.
Oh my god. Looks like an
fan art to fully fledged fan.
This is cursed as hell.
Why does he have nipples?
Oh my god.
Films centered on Shrek and his companions. Whilst a lot of this content seems innocent at best, and ironic at its worst, there has been a slow growth in content which reroutes the franchise from its family-friendly origins to place the characters in a more disturbing adult context.
Oh, no.
It would be easy to put a lot of this down to simple shock tactics. After all, a lot of this content seems designed to push the boundaries of good taste. But contrary to being disturbing, I actually think these fan creations are a pretty cool example of how the lines between producer and consumer have changed recently, and shows us how technologies surrounding the film industry are becoming increasingly more accessible. Released in 2001, Shrek tells the tale of a temperamental ogre who, after finding himself disturbed by a group of fairy tale creatures, accepts a job from the vertically challenged Lord Farquaad to retrieve sleeping Princess Fiona. Featuring a star-studded cast of Mike Myers, Cameron Diaz, and Eddie Murphy, the film was released to both box office success and critical acclaim.
As it should.
What?
I used to have Shrek on VHS, but my mom didn't allow me to watch it. Remember, Mom, we had Shrek on VHS. Because you thought it was too actiony.
$484.4 million over a $60 million budget, becoming the first film to win the Academy Award for Best Animated Feature.
Shrek in a tuxedo. Very handsome.
He's everywhere.
He's a very handsome ogre, that's Shrek.
Success resulted in a myriad of two televised holiday specials and a spin-off film entitled Puss in Boots, with the film also amassing holiday specials.
Let me just tell you something. Puss in Boots is just sexy Garfield.
What?
Titled Puss in Boots, with the film also amassing a dazzling empire of merchandise.
I was in this.
Oh yes.
I was Pinocchio.
Oh,
in a theater camp back in like 2019.
Musical, and the film's titular character being awarded a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
As he should.
The franchise was so successful that DreamWorks even chose to use Donkey as a guest star in their short-lived television series, Father of the Pride, to try and salvage some ratings.
Sounds like a
you know what I do love though? Buffets. You like buffets, Larry? But no buts, Larry, I'm sorry. There's nothing I can do. But let your kid know that Shrek 3 is coming out in 2006.
With Shrek Mania in full swing, it was inevitable that the brand would begin to depreciate, and by the time of the critically maligned Shrek Forever After, audiences and critics began to grow tired of the green ogre, and by the late 2000s, it seemed as though the gates to Far Far Away would soon be closed for good.
Okay. Jaykob, I'm starting to doubt what you said about Shrek being God. He's an icon.
Well, he is powerful.
Yeah, he is powerful. He has a very powerful roar. Luckily, Butterpants decided to help him with that. Coax him to do the roar.
Yeah.
Wait, I think I can do the voice. I can do the voice. Do the roar.
Almost.
Do the roar.
Mhm.
I'm gonna fill up my water real quick.
So yeah, I had this inside joke, and sometimes I still do, about Andy, because I once saw him at a promo of the Beauty and the Beast musical.
Oh,
And-
not in the Bible.
Yes, he is. And I thought that, hey, with that clothing on, Andy kind of reminds me of Butterpants.
Okay.
It's just the clothing, Andy, not how you look. The clothing. That's what reminds me. That's what reminds you of him. Okay? Oh no. I didn't.
All right.
Yeah.
Except somewhere in the murky depths of his swamp, Shrek was festering away, ready to re-emerge and rebrand himself as one of the internet's leading cult figures. Except this rebrand wasn't coming from DreamWorks, but from the even murkier corners of the internet. It's hard to pinpoint exactly when the internet became enamored with Shrek, but a good starting point is DreamWorks' launch of the Shrek official Facebook page on December 1st, 2009, in which Shrek would bizarrely speak to users in first person, often with posts filled with Shrek puns.
What?
These
Okay.
posts routinely garnered thousands of likes and comments, and it wasn't long before fans began to repurpose the language used by Shrek to create their own original, often incomprehensible content. As Nathan Grayson notes in his article on the subject, Shrek was a brand ripe for evisceration by a generation raised on the very sort of ironic detachment in the Shrek movies peddled in ogre green, onion-laced shitloads. Many of these memes and pieces of fan art used phrases like check yourself before you Shrek yourself as a sideswipe at the kind of ironic pop culture references that the Shrek franchise was originally famous for, whilst other pieces, like the comic Shadow Begged Shrek, seem to take shots at online fan fiction trends such as slash fiction. But by far the most prominent and infamous example of Shrek's repurposing online was Shrek is Love, Shrek is Life, a series which recounts sexually explicit tales involving Shrek and the devoted children who worship him. Originally posted on 4chan on January 2013 as a green text, Shrek...
Let's read it.
I was 9 years old. I loved Shrek.
No, I'm gonna read it. I was only 9 years old. I loved Shrek so much. I had all the merchandise and movies. I prayed to Shrek every night before bed, thanking him for the life I have given.
What?
Shrek is love, I say. Shrek is life. My dad hears me, and he calls me a loser. I know he was just jealous of my devotion for Shrek. So I called him a loser. He slaps me and sends me to go to bed. I am crying now.
A warmth is
I'm
moving
laying in
towards
bed and
me.
it's really cold. A warmth is moving towards me. I feel something
touch me.
It's Shrek.
I'm
so happy.
He whispers
in my ear. No,
This is my swamp.
he grabs me with his powerful ogre hand. I'm ready. What? For sure. Okay, let's stop. Shrek is love, Shrek is life.
Love, Shrek is life.
It's all
tells the
Luke
tale of a
at
9-year-old
night.
boy who, mocked and abused by his father for his obsession with Shrek,
drills into
prays
my
to the teacher
rear.
over
It hurts so much, but I do it for
and
Shrek.
proceeds to sodomize him
I can
violently.
feel.
The green text spread like wildfire online and reached its peak when it was re-rendered as a computer animation by YouTube user Psychotic, using Valve's Source engine, with the video receiving over 10 million views. From there, the internet became
This was a
littered
thing
with
in
Shrek-based
middle.
content,
The
including
sniper?
numerous CGI fan films set to Smash Mouth's All-Star, the establishment of online message board Shrek-chan, and even the creation of a modded version of Slender featuring a bloodthirsty Shrek who stalks you as you search for onions. These pieces of content have in turn spawned countless numbers of parodies, offshoots, and an extensive range of fan-produced merchandise, as well as the fan trend of graffitiing Shrek is love, Shrek is life in public places, making this weird new iteration of Shrek arguably a franchise in its own right. All of this speaks to the creation of a massive Shrek paratext, an external type of text which supports and changes the meaning of the original text. Paratexts can be difficult to define clearly, but an easy example is a book in which you have the main text, let's say Moby Dick, and then a foreword by someone who tells you about its publication history. The former is the primary text, whilst the foreword is a paratext, because its existence is conditional to the primary text existing. This doesn't mean, however, that the paratext should be thought of as a secondary to the main text, as paratexts are as important in our understanding of the main text as the text itself. If we think of our understanding of what something is as a compound containing numerous elements, then the addition of a new substance or text to the compound can drastically change its properties. A new piece of information about a film can fundamentally change our understanding of it, just like how it's difficult to watch films by certain directors or actors when we learn about their personal lives. In the same way, these pieces of content are altering our understanding of what Shrek is, whereas in the early 2000s, Shrek was understood as a popular and critically acclaimed family franchise. In the wake of this alternative Shrek explosion online, Shrek is now simultaneously a symbol for internet culture and profanity. What we understand Shrek to be has been fundamentally altered. There's a lot of theories about why someone might do something like this, and we've linked a few of them in the description, such as Jeffrey Scott's idea of paracinema, concerning content that exists on the fringes of good taste and their function in defining the term transgression. Or Dick Hebdage's work on subcultures and textual rebellion, who argues that subcultural rebellion often takes place at
12D.
Fun fact, they've even shipped Shrek with politicians, notably, now we're not going to get political, but Shrek has been shipped with Barack Obama and Donald Trump.
And he has also been shipped with Hitler.
Whoa.
You know,
let's not go beyond that.
No, I'm just saying. Okay. I saw a little meme about it.
An aesthetic level. But what I think is more fascinating about this is the how rather than the why, as this resurgence in Shrek's popularity shows us a lot about how both technology has advanced and how the ways in which fans are able to engage with text has changed. Think about the sheer number of videos on YouTube dedicated to re-editing film trailers, removing characters from scenes, or reworking a film into a new genre through alterations to the music or cutting. Before these platforms, this sort of network of fans in such an immediate fashion would have been unthinkable. Axel Bruns terms this phenomena prod usage, in which internet users have been able to create and distribute content online and achieve the same levels of popularity as their big budget counterparts. In this sense, the lines between producer and consumer have blurred considerably, and the dividing line between professional and amateur has grown smaller. It's not just YouTube as a platform, the line between
No. It appears as if Elsa has let her sanity.
It's not just YouTube as a platform that has facilitated this either. Nowadays, someone can pick up a HD camera or DSLR fairly cheaply online, and tools such as Photoshop, After Effects, or Final Cut are no longer used purely for commercial purposes. That's not to mention the numerous free equivalents of these professional tools which can be found online, meaning that it is now more than ever far easier to produce and distribute content than ever before. What makes Shrek such an interesting example of this is the fact that it's a feature-length CGI movie whose animation was cutting edge at the time of its release. Think back to something like the first Toy Story or Ants. The man-hours and budget for these films was astronomical. The technology so hard to
Do you know in
master
ants they're actually termites? I don't know anything except for Woody Allen.
that it
I know
required
Woody
vast
Allen's in it, but
teams of people to pull off even competent animation. Flash forward to the present, and technologies such as Blender, Maya, and of course Source Engine have made the creation of CGI content far easier and cheaper than ever, meaning that your average person with a consumer PC and a YouTube tutorial can start creating content in no time. If we do a side-by-side comparison between the original Shrek and some of the fan renderings, there are obvious differences, but given one is made by someone dicking about with the Source Engine on their own computer, it's pretty amazing how far things have come. I mean, creating a fully realised video game like Swamp Simulator is hardly something to be sniffed at, and whilst a lot of content is crass, crude, or downright disturbing, it's an incredible achievement nonetheless, given the historical context. I think what these texts speak to is a fundamental change in the way in which fans are now able to create and change definitions of content. Whilst previous definitions of texts were confined to online discussion spaces, with the rise of cheaper digital technologies, fans are now able to actively remap the definitions of their favourite works through the production of auxiliary content. Whilst obviously a lot of these Shrek videos aren't intended to be taken seriously, the fact is that, whether ironic or not, these fan-produced pieces have fundamentally changed our understanding of what Shrek is. 15 years ago, this picture of Shrek would have been nothing but a callback to a successful animated franchise. Viewed today, it connotes something else entirely.
well, what do
Should I
you
stop
think?
recording?
No, we have a few. We have to discuss about this video.
Okay, about the video.
Doing the
Yes,
report. Yeah. Does this change your mind?
No. It
Oh,
appears
excuse me,
since he's
excuse me.
every. Yeah.
Sorry, I kind of cut off. I just got off from a call.
Oh, it's
Ah.
it's all right.
No, you're good.
Okay.
Anyways, yeah, this so far doesn't, but this is why I consider him. And also, fun fact, I babysat 2 dogs about some time ago who were named after Shrek and Donkey, but Donkey was the female dog.
So did you like say anything about the Bible and that?
No, this was before I knew.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember talking to like my voice teacher about what you were saying, and he thought it was Shaggy from Scooby-Doo that had the.
Oh, he's there too. He's
he's
there too.
You know what? Judging by, because in a few years there's going to be a whole political thing. But listen, hear me out. Shrek 2024. Fix the wreck, vote for Shrek.
It's okay.
Yeah.
But
We're gonna stop now. We're gonna do UberDoc. UberDoc.a.